Om 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitam Asto Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Boliye Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Hari Om. Welcome to this evening's talk on Chinmaya Yoga from Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda Ji's A Manual of Self-Unfoldment. It is a book that is prescribed in the study group series. So we've earlier seen a book called Hazen Slowly and chapters from Kindle Live. So this is from a manual for self-unfoldment. In the last week, we saw about how we can chant different types of mantras. Gurudev mentions here certain mantras like Vaidika mantras, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Atma Brahma, Shivoham Shivoham. There are Pauranika mantras like Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Ram, Om Namo Narayanaya. When we chant that mantra, that is me. This power is bowing down higher power. And once this bowing down happens while chanting the mantra, the flow of energy, flow of consciousness, the connectivity between the higher power and the individual power is not happening, but it is already there. The connectivity is already there. Everything is actually one. But our problem is we don't realize they're one, and we function that sense of divisiveness, the sense of aloneness, and the sense of feeling lonely, which is the reason why we suffer from problems. So when we chant this mantra, we experience the one with that self, which is Narayana, and we tune in ourselves with better or the nobler. We gather ourselves into ourselves. The very qualities, the greatness of the higher is true prostration. When I prostrate before the deity of Narayana, my qualities of anger, hatred, jealousy, incapability, lack of money, lack of prosperity, a sense of lack in everything, lack of good intentions, all sense of lack ceases, my qualities get dissolved, and the qualities of the Supreme become my own qualities. It is like taking a handful of water from the ocean. That handful of water from the ocean, and in that handful of water, there may be other impurities which I have added into it. But when I offer that handful of water into the ocean, my impurities and my qualities undistinguished into the ocean water, and what is left to be called me is the water in the ocean and not the individual handful. This is what prostration is all about. This is what surrender is all about. In order to prostrate, there must be two factors, says Pujya Gurudev. The lower one who prostrates and the higher one at whose feet and the unconditional eternal self. So when the person is doing japa, he is trying to put an end to this little self that is always raising its head to say, this is not okay, that is not okay, you're too small for all this, you're not capable of such big work, you are different, that Supreme is different, don't ever think that both of you are one. All these kinds of silly thoughts are being fed into our mind on a constant daily basis, by that little personality which we called ourselves. The process of japa helps to dissolve this little personality over a period of time. What happens is, as we do japa, when we keep chanting the mantra, Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama, Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama, Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama, Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. When we keep chanting, there is a sort of energy besides the power of the mantra, besides the power of the name, that very letters, it breaks certain shells of energy within us. The more and more we keep chanting, the more and more those pods of energy begin to break within us and it gets unleashed. It is like a nuclear power or a hydroelectric power or a solar power that we gather within us. This is called the japa power. The more and more we chant the japa, the more and more the energy is released. When more and more energy is released, it means there is more and more consciousness. So when there is more and more consciousness, there may be people and there may be objects that are creating their impact into our surface layer. That surface layer is called the ego. Whatever is there in the body, there is energy that is there inside, it is spilling out of us. But that energy is confined by an imaginary layer that is called the ego. That ego is what is preventing the energy from within us to completely merge with the energy around us. And because that merger is prevented, we are always functioning like a different individual, where the universe has different plans and we are having different desires and working out different plans in our mind. So, as long as those plans and desires are in tune with the desires of the universe, we will attain success. We will achieve success. But when the universal desires are something and our desires are different, we will also achieve success, but our success will be limited by the capacity of energy that we have. That is how even these asuras who did tapas for many, many years, chanting a name of the Lord and doing tapasya, they gathered a lot of energy within them, and that was the reason why they were able to give trouble to the world. They were able to do atrocities in the world because they had that energy potential within them to work out their desires. If the one thing is to not have any selfish desires, that is the best way to exist. And on top of that, when we are doing japa and we offer our services to the world, we are living in love and harmony with the world, then we will be successful in whatever we do. Hands down, we will have success. But if we really want our own desires, to fulfill our desires, and we want success, then tapasya has to be done. When tapasya is done, it will support the desires as long as the power of the tapasya remains. When the power gets exhausted, then the desires will be supportless in us and we will not meet with success in our desires. So, what are the pitfalls in Japa? Japa is not physical, but it's a mental exercise and is to be raised to a still deeper level, says Gurudev. It is not just a mere rolling of beads or muttering of the name Om Namah Shivaya, 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 and going to sleep. And again, it is okay. When sleep comes, we can't do anything, but start working on being alert and repeating the mantra. So this japa is called japa yoga, because while doing the japa, because we do the japa, the body, the mind, and the and the intellect are integrated as one. We experience the integrity of body, mind, and it is very difficult for people to chant the mantra with the mind. So, in the beginning, when we begin to do the japa, maybe one or two or three malas, we may repeat the mantra even a little loudly, like in this tone Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Then, after some weeks of practice, by repeating the sound, we also hear the sound, and that way the mind gets arrested. Shivaya. It can become softer. Where after this, a little softer is over, if you want to go deeper into the japa, it can be manasika or done in the mind. Even the lips will not move, the mala can move. In the mind, we chant. Always a slight movement of the tongue we can observe. And you understand that the intellect or the one who has decided to chant this is when the mantra is being chanted slowly. This when this japa is going on sincerely, yajnanam, japa yajnosmi says Bhagavan Shri Krishna in chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan talks about his USP, unique selling proposition of Bhagavan. Whatever unique of his capacities and capabilities and manifestations, he talks in chapter 10. Out of that, out of different types of yajnas, japa, the idea we do is the offering of our attention. When we chant any mantra, we are paying attention to that particular sound, Om Narayanaya or Om Namah Shivaya. What we are offering is we are offering our attention. And attention is the only thing that we can truly offer into this universe. Nothing else belongs to us. Only belongs to us. So, Gurudev says, start with one mala every day, convinced of your mental capacity to sustain your inspired attention for the required period of time. All systems of japa. It may be one or two malas. I begin to increase because I'm reading even with japa. When the ego is only controlling all our aspects of our person sitting and we have seen chanting and we have seen chanting. I want to chant this slowly every day. The list watching YouTube, anything we take up, the ego will always try to. Gurudev says another difficulty that comes to people who do japa is the attack of sleep while doing japa. And the 1090s, when we have seen ourselves in, we have lost the ability to play games. We watch games more than we play games, and we interact less with people and more with computers, mobile phones, and on the computer screen and WhatsApp. Because of all that, we do not have that much of light exposure, and due to the lack of light exposure, we have erratic sleep hours. Our sleep is disturbed, and when our sleep is disturbed, the moment if we are asleep on a day-to-day basis, we sit for japa. The moment the mind becomes concentrated, the sofa, the history, when the mind becomes unpointed, when the mind comes into one thought, automatically the next thing we do is go to sleep. We don't take cognition of anything around us, we sleep. So the mind is used to this phenomenon. So the moment Om Namah Shivaya ends, and then the eyes become very heavy. The eyes begin to closer and closer because the intellect is pulling the energy inside, and immediately the mind understands that it is time to go to sleep. So whether it is sitting or just dropping down or dropping the mala, we are capable of going to sleep. So in those times, sleep is best slept off. If you feel sleepy, you sleep well that moment without complaining about why situations are like this, why I have to sleep like this, or without criticizing ourselves for sleeping. Um, you should just congratulate yourself that you have sat for japa and just help us go deeper and into ourselves. There is no two ways about it. There is no doubt about it. Even the disturbances that nature gives us is what we do. So what happens when we do this? When we do japa, we are experiencing a state of alertness. We are experiencing a state of aliveness. Our thoughts are not get thoughts, but thoughts do come. Those thoughts have a different tone about it. There is a beautiful journey that we are going. We are actually making a journey in time. When we stop making the journey in space and we go within, we dive within ourselves, we are making a journey in time. And anywhere, anything in space that does not have any other references around is always calculated in time. That is why the distance in space is called light years. So the journey is into unknown regions, unknown dimensions. That is the journey we make. We move into unknown realms around us that are unknown realities. But the purpose of japa is not to move to all those places. The purpose of japa is to quieten the mind. But in the process, many things can happen, and many interesting. See, when we travel from point A to point B, we can sleep throughout the car journey or the train journey and reach point B and feel happy about it. We can look out of the window and enjoy the scenery, which is a rare scenery because we may not get that scenery again to watch. We may not be able to visit all these places. So, on the way, we can see what is happening. That is another way. So, when we sleep, it is like I take a train from Chennai to Coimbatore. I like to take those trains, the night trains, because you do your work in Chennai, you're alert in Chennai, you're awake in Chennai, you're aware in Chennai, you keep all your bags, you lie down, and then morning when you wake up, you don't have to see anything, you are in Coimbatore. So, like that, suppose we sleep during japa, this is what happened. We don't really miss much, but the japa may be happening, japa definitely keeps happening. So another way of converting our sleep time maybe of a mala or 54 times or 108 times, whatever it is. Lie down and go to sleep. And morning when you wake up, you will wake up with the first thought of the japa. Because any thought we go to sleep with, we wake up with that thought. So if we want a noble thought in our mind, go to sleep with the noble thought of the japa. And in the morning when you wake up also, you can do the japa. So that throughout the day, the mind is in japa. And what happens in the night, between the night japa and the morning japa, the mind is automatically doing the japa. So that is the way, that is one way by which we can increase the power of our sadhana by doing the japa at night and waking up in the morning and doing the japa once. So the other problem that we face is bad temper. Why the bad temper is coming? Immediately after I finish japa, I want to shout at somebody or I get very angry because we normally, whenever we face situations in our life, we just suppress those emotions. We are always habituated to suppressing those emotions. We don't allow them to express because it is not very nice to express our anger, our fighting, our aggression, and all those things. So, even though we experience all that, even though these things come out of us, we unconsciously express them and they fill up in different parts of the body, in the different muscle groups, in muscle crevices, they get stored. They get stored in our fat, which means is at the moment released. All the anger, all the hatred, all the jealousy, or even but the extreme levels of anger. So when you face those situations, it is very important to note is responsible for all the anger that we face inside. The anger that we face inside is our own making. In our own unawareness, we have allowed the anger to stay within us without giving out, without expressing it in proper channels. Proper channels of expressing our anger, hatred, jealousy, and other kind of negative emotions is through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and raja yoga. So, karma yoga is doing our duty without the attachment that I am the doer of the work and I want this particular result because of that. Karma yoga. Through that, when I, on a day to day basis, when I do my work, when I do my duty, or any action that I may do, when I do without identification with the self and with without any expectation of this particular reward for the action, then it becomes karma yoga. Then my inner vasanas, as they are called, get exhausted very fast. Karma yoga is the fastest way to exhaust vasanas. Then we have vasanas of our likes and dislikes, and that goes away by bhakti yoga, by devotion to a form of the Lord, by serving God, by singing His name, Shravanam, listening to His stories or her stories, Kirtanam, singing their names, Mananam, Smaranam, thinking about them, Pada Sevanam, worshipping their feet, holy feet, Archanam, doing puja and archana, Vandanam, doing namaskaram, bowing down, Dasyam, doing our work as a servant of the Lord, Sakyam, being friendly to Bhagavan, being friendly to Ishvara. It is just like how children play. They have an imaginary and they keep talking to that imaginary friend. In the same way, it may be imaginary, but this person is available to guide us and to help us. There is no doubt about it. A person called Ishvara in any form or name that we may call them. So that is called Bhakti Yoga. Through Bhakti Yoga, also my impressions or vasanas are cleared. Jnana Yoga is the study of the scriptures of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. Through that also my mind becomes clear of all the vasanas. When I realize who I am. So when these methods are constantly done, then we keep working on the purification of our mind. So the more and more the mind gets purified, less and less we will get sleep, the lesser and less we will be angry after finishing, or we will have a surge, we will not have an upsurge of negative emotions because we are going on cleansing it. Other simple ways of cleansing negative emotions is by simply taking a bath, going out for a walk, jogging, running, swimming, cycling, being in nature, being around trees, being around children, playing games, sincerely playing games for the love of the sport, not for money or not for name or fame. Um, Engaging in very uplifting activities can also remove our vasanas. So, bad temper, sleep. Just like how a new driver at the wheel does not know how to relax, he unnecessarily exhausts himself before he has driven around the corner of his own street. A new swimmer tires himself within a few yards. A new housewife gets tired looking after her firstborn. Later on, the very same woman easily manages a half a dozen children along with her late cousins, four little kids, and yet discovers for herself plenty of spare time and mental ease for her afternoon chats with the neighbors. In the same way, in the beginning, Japa may be very strenuous, But as we go into the practice, we may face problems like we will not be able to concentrate on the japa. So instead of saying that, since I'm not concentrating on the japa, I will give up the japa and concentrate on other things which I'm able to concentrate on. So forgive yourself for the distractions, but keep at it. There is a method called kaizen in Japanese. It is called 1 minute technique. Even if you have taken up the practice of doing this japa, of doing this mala, if you suppose on a day you have missed the japa, you can set your clock alarm to just 1 minute, and you can chant the mantra how many ever times for that 1 minute, and you can go to sleep saying, my japa for the day is over. So, in that way, even on days when you are not able to do for some reasons, for many reasons will happen, because controlling the mind or quietening the mind is an activity we have suddenly taken up, and the mind that has been let loose and let free over many, many, many lifetimes. Suddenly we are calling that mind to order. You let the child so free, and suddenly one day you want to control the child is not going to listen to you. So we just have to understand that. And as Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, Mano Durnigraham Chalam. The mind is indeed very difficult to control. The mind is always moving, but Shanai Shanaihi Uparamet Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya Atma Samsam Manakritva Nakinchidapi Chintayet Yato Yato Nischarati Manaschanchala Astiram Tatastato Niyam Yaitat Atman Yeva Vasham Nayet. The mind is here, but when you focus on the mind will go away. Even among people also, you might have noticed sometimes, people will be around you at large, but suddenly you begin to focus on somebody, that person will be away out of your sight. They do not like your attention. They do not want your attention. Your attention will make them do things that they don't want to do. They may be, or they may be disturbing, or they may be just playing the fool by not doing the work and just moving around the place. When you pay attention to such people, they will disappear. They will not be in your presence at all. In the same way, the mind has been using you. The mind has been playing the fool all this time. You never notice. The mind has been hanging around. Now suddenly, you 2 seconds, and before even you can realize, it would have gone to Australia or Antarctica or Timbuktu or outer space. Anywhere can go. It is not in our control. So Shanai Shanaihi Uparamet. Slowly, slowly, this japa sadhana is not something, we can compress it. It is not like putting the mind in a washing machine and putting the switch on and allowing the washing machine to run and finally take it out and dry. It is not that. It may take lifetime, it may take lifetimes, or it may be fast also. We never know. Shanai Shanaihi Uparamit. Slowly, slowly bring the mind to quietude. How? Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya. By a firm intellect. The intellect says, yes, I want to practice quietude of mind. I'm not focusing on this problem or that problem, this thing or that thing. Let everything stay. Let all the good things stay. Let all the bad things stay. I'm not going to be concerned about anything. I'm going to be concerned only about making my mind quiet first. Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya. Atma Samstham Manaha Kritva. So place the mind in the self, where I am here right now, in the I. Na kinchidapi chintayet. After that, don't think about anything, this and that. Whenever the mind goes away, it can go to, as I told you, or it can go to Japan, it can go to Switzerland, it can go to Norway, it can go to America, it can go to the kitchen, and find out if there is masala dosa happening. Everything the mind can do. It is okay. Like how you forgive a child for being very disturbed, you forgive the mind. Yato yato nishcharati, whenever there is disturbance, tatastato niyamya yetat, atmanyeva vasham naye. Bring the mind to your own self. It is just like you're covered and surrounded with a piece of very fine cloth, super fine cloth, that is flying about here and there. You find a way by which you can hold all the tassels of the cloth and then bring the whole cloth to you and hold it close to you and then keep it with you at all times. Like the muslin cloth of those times, you can take that whole cloth out and put it in a box and keep it with you. And then when you need the mind, you can spread it out and use it and then put it back in that box. Like how a whole muslin sari in those days, which was done, which used to fit into a matchbox. That is the greatness of the muslin sari. In the same way, the muslin like mind, take it slowly, slowly take it, know the art of gathering it, put it in a box, keep it with you, use it when you want. You will be living a very happy life and your sadhana will be successful. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Bole Shri Jai Hari Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva.